Good morning. You guys doing good? Happy Father's Day. Let's go. It's a good day. Father's Day, it's a good day. Oh, man. I know Pastor Jamie's up at Central Campus reading dad jokes right now. I just have a couple. What happened? Oh, no, not that one. Sorry, that was lame. Sometimes dad jokes are just too lame. Do you know what I'm saying? No, they're not. Wow, it's spoken like a true dad. What kind of shoes do frogs wear? Anybody? No, open-toed sandals. Oh, man. Why do crabs never volunteer? Anyone? Because they're shellfish. Oh, man. There's one here. This one's funny. How did I know my wife or my girlfriend, if you're not married, thought I was invading her privacy? She wrote about it in her diary. Oh, man. That's it. That's all I can do. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I tried. Oh, man. There's some good ones out there. I like watching the dad jokes one where they're trying not to laugh. And just go watch it. Just pull it up on Instagram if you want, or YouTube, whatever, if you need more. Oh, my gosh. I had a different message this morning, just kind of planned out. We've been in a series in Ephesians, kind of working through that. I wanted to take a break this morning and actually kind of talk about a little bit more of a Father's Day themed message. Is that okay? I don't always do that. I sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it's a little too cheesy, I think, too convenient, Got to buck the system every once in a while. Actually, all the time. I have a terrible time following rules. Just try to force me into a mold, and I'll prove to you that you can't. You know what I'm saying? It's rough. I apologize to my wife dearly. It's just like I joke about this all the time. It's such a strong, uncontrollable compulsion that like it's just a running joke now. But like if I can't decide between like two shirts to wear, we both know what's about to happen, and I still have to ask, and I still have to do it. It's like which one should I wear? And whichever one she points out, I cannot pick that one. It's like, it's terrible. It is the worst. So now sometimes she'll look at me and she'll kind of like, that one. And I'm like, now I know you're playing mind tricks on me. You want me to wear this one, and you're picking this one, and I still can't, like, I know what she's doing, and I still can't help myself, It's terrible. It's a real problem. I want you guys to turn to Joshua chapter 1. This message obviously is going to be directed to men and to fathers, but like honestly, any person in any phase of life is going to be able to grab what we're talking about today. So if you're not a dad or if you're not a man, please grab what we're talking about for you today. We're all called to a place of leadership. We're all called to a place of stewarding breakthrough, fighting for breakthrough. Does that make sense? There is a uniqueness to the role of a father in that space. And so I think one of the things I really want to speak to today is in that place of fatherhood, there is a unique role of stewarding breakthrough and actually fighting for, when we talk about leading your home, really, it doesn't look like making all the decisions. It just doesn't. The buck doesn't stop with me. I'm not the one that just gets to veto everything that gets done in my home. That's not leadership. That's control. It's not good. Except for shirts. That one I do get to veto. Oh, that's so terrible. Where are we going to eat? No, we can't go down there. That's not true leadership, okay? Leadership is people willing to pay a price for something for other people's benefit. The heart of a leader really is truly someone that is willing to steward something, fight for something, lay their life down for something for other people's benefit. If your idea of leadership looks like you get to tell everybody what to do, you've got it wrong. You have it wrong. You have a misunderstanding of what true leadership looks like. There's a level of partnership, a level of collaboration. There's a level of wisdom is found in wine is found in the cluster of grapes, so is wisdom. There's like this idea that wisdom is found in the multitude of counsel, that if I'm a strong leader, I will have team members around me that are better than me in almost every area of my life. If you're leading a team, this is just in general, men, women, doesn't matter. If you are leading a team and you are better than everyone else in your team at everything that they're doing, you've failed as a leader. Straight up, you have failed as a leader. Because you have put a cap, you've put a ceiling on the capacity of your team based on your personal ability. And the only, if your mindset is to go the farthest, whatever, conquer whatever. I'm always like, we're going to be the best. I can't help but think that way. If that's the idea, then I have to be so arrogant to think that I'm literally the best at everything. That I have the answer for everything, that I'm the wisest in everything, that I have the most experience in everything, that the most capable, the whatever. And that just isn't true. That's just not possible at all. When we talk about leadership development, when you talk about building team, you're always in the context of these areas that I suck at. I'm specifically bringing people into my team that is better than me in these areas. Why? So that I'm never the limiting factor to the growth or the capacity of my team. Does that make sense? Now, if God designed marriage as a partnership, then you have to agree or at least recognize the fact that this person that God brought me together with is going to be better than and have some wisdom in areas that I don't have. Everyone knows my wife is so much smarter than me in so many ways. Okay, but the reality is then if every decision, if I'm the veto on every decision, then ultimately what I'm doing is I've actually completely shut down the very voice of wisdom God would be bringing into my life to complement, to bring stability and balance and wisdom and experience into my life. And in that context, our strengths combine into something better than what we could ever be individually on our own. Do you understand? Okay, so if we're talking about leadership can't then be defined as being the best at anything or everything, making all the decisions, micromanaging things, controlling everything. Leadership really does at its core, it is when we, obviously the term kind of is a little too overplayed, to be honest. I don't like it, servant leadership, but it is really true. But there's the way that my mind kind of breaks that down is my willingness to lay my life down for other people's breakthrough. That is the heart of a leader. My willingness to pay a price for something, to fight for something, so that people are going to experience that breakthrough and not have to pay the same price that I paid. Are you guys following me? Now, this is important because then when we start looking at the context of generational increase, when we start talking about inheritance and breakthrough, we find ourselves wrestling with this idea of I look at my life and I look at the experiences of my life and I see how they shaped me. I see how like these things, there's things, battles that I fought that have made me who I am. My ability, my capacity, the success in my life. Are you guys following me? And then we struggle with the fact that now, if we just think about just in the context of parenting, I struggle with the idea of like, okay, so now my kids are not having to go through the same struggles I went through. Are they going to have the same strength that I have? Are they going to be able to have more strength? And this is a really tough one. And the mistake people make is there's two extremes. One is sort of the classic trust fund baby sort of zone. You know what I'm saying? Where you have like these kids that are raised with just access to anything and everything, and they have no capacity to fight. They have no capacity to be diligent and faithful and disciplined in things. They don't understand the hard work and the connection between fighting through difficult circumstances and the breakthrough that is connected to that process. That sense of resilience and mental fortitude and mental toughness, right? So then you have on the flip side, where you have parents that are like, you don't get anything from me. You have to go through everything I went through. Well, then what's the point of inheritance? Is everything that you have fought for in your life just for your own benefit? How does that work? Are you following? When it's done right, when it's done well, my breakthrough creates momentum for the next generation, and so that they can fight the battles that they're meant to fight. So I have to set up space for their own struggle in their context and the direction and the path that they're going. Does that make sense? I'm not going to shelter them from struggle. I'm going to look at them and like, it's going to suck, man. There's going to be moments where they're in the middle of a struggle and I'm like, I could definitely rescue them out of that. Oh, I just want to. I can see the tears. I can see the frustration. I can see the anger. I can see the struggle that you're in right now. And maybe you came from an environment where you didn't have a parent, and so you had to face that struggle on your own, and you figured out how to do it. Maybe there was mentors. Maybe God stepped in. Maybe you just did it on your own, and years later, you had to like work through the abandonment and orphan issues. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like a common struggle for a lot of us. And then you're a parent, and you're like, I would never let my kid go through this. And so then you jump in and rescue them out of the very crucible that was forming strength and character in their life. God kind of doesn't do either one of those. He promises to be with you through the valley of the shadow of death. That's a tough one. But there's something beautiful about the formation of your heart and strength and life in that. And so when we talk about leadership, when we talk about fatherhood, when we talk about mentoring, this is applied not just directly with your own kids, but when we talk about mentorship and discipleship, there's this context that we have to adopt where we're understanding, I'm creating momentum and breakthrough so you don't have to fight this battle. You're going to need to fight battles, though. I'm going to be there with you. But you are going to have to face struggle. You're going to have to face your battles and with are you following me? Okay, so there's this beautiful passage where Joshua is getting ready to lead the children of Israel into the promised land. Many of you guys are familiar with this passage. Maybe some of you aren't, and that's okay. Moses died. He just died. Joshua's with God, and he's like, how are we going to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like he's realized that now the weight of, 1 million plus people, he's about to lead them into this promised land and the pressure. There's giants in the land. There's this whole situation, okay? And this is the conversation that God has with them in this moment. So we'll just start in verse 1. So after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving to them, the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given you, as I said to Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and to the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it from the right or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. The book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. All right. I want to look at this passage as sort of a parallel for specifically talking about in the context of Father's Day, fathers leading their families. Okay, there is this if you could picture Joshua, right? Like put yourself into Joshua. Now this, if you're applying it to your life, you're not a dad, I want you to picture yourself into this same zone. because every single one of us are called into the same process. Do you understand? Okay? Sometimes it's tough in messages like this where people kind of write themselves out of what we're talking about, and really this is directly applied to everyone. There is a uniqueness, yes, in the context when we're talking about fathers, but I don't want you to miss out on what we're talking about here. There's 3 really big commands and ideas connected to when God is saying to be strong and be courageous. It's funny, he says it 3 times, right? So you can safely assume there's going to be circumstances in which he's going to need to be reminded to be strong and courageous. Yes? Okay. I'm just saying. Sometimes I think we forget the context of like prophetic words and prophetic promises over our life. These are weapons God intends for you to be able to wage war in your life with. If spiritual warfare is where we're coming against lofty ideas, speculations, arguments that set themselves up against the knowledge of Christ, then you have to understand that the weapons he's giving you, right, they're mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds, right, of bringing down every speculation, argument that is setting themselves up against the knowledge of Christ. What are those weapons that he's giving you? Well, it's the word of the Lord. It's prophetic promises. It's these moments where God is speaking to your heart. And we miss out because we think of it as encouragement. Oh, man, I was having a rough day, and I got so encouraged. Buddy, you're going to make it. Oh, thanks. I feel so much better. And now I'm standing there in the face of this giant, and I'm not doing better because I can see what I'm facing right now. The truth of this is it's meant to set you up positionally to not deviate in the moment of thank you. I'm going to say observation. I'm like, that's not correct. In the moment of opposition. Like prophetic words, they're meant for you to stay strong so that you're not crumbling and making poor decisions out of circumstances, out of fear, that you're not succumbing to the lie that is trying to convince you the opposite message of God's word over your life. This context where God is meeting with Joshua is he's giving him, Joshua, you're about to lead these people. I'm going to give you keys to your success. You need to grab hold of this and not deviate from it. You are not just going to need to be reminded of this, but you are going to have to daily wake up and make a decision how you're going to operate in the face of opposition. You have to get up. You have to look at your circumstances and then make a conscious decision which path you're going to take. Leadership, fatherhood in this context is not something that happens by chance. It's not something that happens by feeling. It's not something that happens by luck or by just, oh man, I had a good dad, so now I get to be a good dad. I didn't know. I had a great dad, and I had to go to war to become the person I am. And I'm still in the middle of it. There is a conscious decision. There is circumstances, there is things that happen in life that are trying to pull you away from the promise that is sitting over your life, and it is a daily decision. There is this thing that says, temptation, the fact that you're feeling temptation is not failure. It's actually the battleground that you are in. Do I need to say that again? So many of us, we feel tempted and immediately we associate it with failure. If I was successful, if I was a mature believer, if I was a good father, if I was a loving husband that was in love with my wife, I wouldn't feel tempted when this person walked by. That's not how it works. Why? Because it says of Jesus, he faced every temptation known to man. And we also know that he was without sin. So the presence of temptation is not the presence of sin. I need to say that again. You guys need to grab hold of this so that you can face the battles that are in front of you. The presence of temptation or the feeling of temptation is not the presence of sin. It's the invitation to it, but you get to choose, you get to rule over your heart. You get to guard the place of access in your life and make a decision which pathway you're going to go down. So many of us, because we're in the middle of struggle, we're in the middle of maturing, we're in the middle of fighting for a breakthrough through hang-ups, through different things in our life. We're in the road and we get into a situation and you feel the temptation. And because you feel the temptation, you believe the lie that this is still who you are. I'm still this broken, addicted person. Because I feel the draw. I feel the desire to fill in the blank. And so then what happens is you forget that God gave you something to wage war with, and you allow the enemy to subtly convince you that this thing over here is who you actually are. If you were truly a believer, you would have faith right now. If you were actually free from pornography, you wouldn't feel the temptation right now. It would be easy. If you were actually free from, fill in whatever the struggle is, do you understand? You just wouldn't feel the draw anymore. You just wouldn't, it's just like nothing. Now, there's levels of freedom where that does happen. I can tell you through my own testimony, through other people, where the enticement, the draw gets minimized and minimized. The more you break free, the more you're locking into who God made you to be, the more you're locking into the freedom that is there, the less that becomes tempting. Do you understand? But you have to recognize the separation of it, because we're all in different pathways. We're all in different components of your maturing process and walk through freedom in different areas of your life. I can also tell you that the more locked in I am on a goal or a purpose, the easier and the less draw any temptation has in my life. The moment I lose sight of this thing that I'm meant to be going after, or I just don't have one, temptation feels so good and so enticing. And I mean that completely. Why? Because God designed us to have purpose. He designed us to move forward, to take land. And when we begin to deviate from that, it's not just the boredom. It's not boredom, you guys. It's the lack of purpose. We've somehow associated boredom with the lack of purpose. Like we've put those two things together. And so then we make ourselves over busy and we have no rest because we're trying to have purpose. And really what you're having is busyness and not purpose. There's a difference. We don't have time to talk about it today, but are you guys following me? This is really important. When I'm training for something, when I have to make weight, when there's like competitions, like I can be, and I love food. Can we just today? I'm going to be grilling some tri-tip, Father's Day. And I was like, would you like me to make you something? And he's like, She's like, we could do this. So I have some tri-tip in the freezer. I'm like, there's one thing I want. Okay. Let's just. I'm saying it's. Listen, guys. I'm hopefully convincing the East Coast that there is this thing called tri-tip. Some of you know. No, actually, you can't. Sorry. My breakthrough was not your breakthrough today, okay? Jeez. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what I was saying. Oh, purpose, thank you. Oh, no temptation. You see, it's just, oh, man. You can see how distractible I can be, right? Oh, man. Okay, here's the problem. I love great food, okay? And so when I don't have purpose connected to my decision making, it's really easy for me to make little mini compromises throughout the day, throughout the different environment that add up into massive shifts in what I'm doing. right? Like little things. You walk through and the kids are grabbing a snack, and so you grab a handful of chips. Are chips evil? I mean, I could make a case that they are. So let's not go down the road. But here's the thing. In this context, we'll pretend that they're not, okay? I'm kidding, right? Like you go through, you grab a little this, you grab a little that, you grab a little this, and it's like, oh, if you added that all up through the day, I'm eating 2 or 3 times more than I should be, especially when like I have a weight division that I have to make. You know what I'm saying? Or I get disqualified from a tournament because I didn't like make weight. Do you understand? Like there's like the reality of the very present consequences and purpose connected to it in my life gives me strength to make decisions throughout the day where I'm aware of little deviations that will take me very far off course. Small deviations over time result in huge and drastic changes in the direction of your life. Most of us would be able to look at life and connect to big, poor decisions, right? Don't make this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could just fill in the blank of like terrible choice, and you're like, of course I would never do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm never like, that's not even a temptation. It's not even, there's nothing there. What we don't recognize is that there's these little decisions that happen along the way where by the time this becomes an option, it's not a big decision. It's a very little decision. It's just one more degree. And then you find yourself in a place of terrible compromise and brokenness, completely off course from where you were headed or where you were wanting to be eventually. And so I'm setting the groundwork because we're going to come back into this passage here for a second, and you're going to see there's these couple of principles that God is giving Joshua to give purpose and direction to the people and to him as a leader to fight for and to steward what they're going to go into this land where there's going to be compromise and temptation that they've never had to face before. There's going to be obstacles that they've never had to face before. There's going to be giants. There's going to be opposition in places that they haven't had to face. And so he's giving him this secret of like, listen, I'm about to give you like the core of what I need you to grab onto into this process. All right. Be strong and courageous. Courage. I just want to talk just for a second about courage because sometimes it is true in our modern definition of the word courage, we view it as feats of valor, of bravery, right? That's not wrong. That is like a correct definition of courage. The root of the word, though, is actually a French word. It actually means courage, C-O-U-R, means heart, and edge, like, is putting together. It means to be seen from the heart. The willingness to be seen from your heart. And when you think about acts of valor, when you think about those kinds of things, it makes sense that I'm about to step out and everyone's going to see my success or failure. Like, I'm about to be seen from my heart. I'm about to be seen for the fact that I was willing to put myself out there, and I could totally mess this up. Like, totally fail, and everyone's going to think of me as a failure. There's this level of vulnerability that is connected to courage. Willingness to put yourself on the line. There's things in your life that you are meant and designed to pursue, to have breakthrough in, to fight for. And if you cannot get to the context, if you cannot get to the context of the space of being willing to be seen in that place of vulnerability, you will shut down and withdraw yourself from the battle you were intended to fight. Your willingness to be seen as a failure in terms of like, hey, this thing that I love so much I'm going to go for is directly connected to your capacity to stay in the fight and to stay present when you're in the middle of it. There's something about facing opposition where you're like, man, my own judgments, my own insecurities, and then I start thinking about my kids and how they think about me. I mean, if we just take, I know some of you guys know, yesterday I competed in a big tournament down in Boston. And I'm going to be honest. The first match, I was facing a black belt who's been fighting since the 90s. This guy has more experience and more time on the mat than I will ever have the rest of my life. He just has. He started when he was a kid. Do you understand? This is the context and the disparity between our skill and our ability to fight in this context is just way off. And I saw him, and he's just built like iron. It was crazy. Anyways, doesn't matter. There's a moment where you're in this place, you're in the bullpen, you're about ready to walk out there, and you are confronted with the very real reality of I'm going to go out there, I'm going to look like an idiot. He's going to tool me. I'm going to do something, he's just going to flip me on my back, he's going to tap me out, and it's just and there's two choices. There's this thing it just doesn't, and you'll see people do this. It's it doesn't matter, I'm just going to go out and have fun and whatever. That's not necessarily a wrong attitude to have. It's just a fun term. It really means nothing in the grander scheme of life. Do you understand? It means nothing. It's this $5 medal. You know what I'm saying? I could go buy it on Amazon. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't, it means nothing in and of itself. There's something, though, in that space where, for me personally, it's I run a school. I'm a coach. I have some 100-some-odd students that are do you understand, that are wow, you suck. Why am I at your school? You know what I'm saying? You're teaching us how to do this stuff and you can't even do it yourself. This is why a lot of coaches don't compete anymore, because they can't handle this pressure. Some coaches are just not good competitors, and there's a difference. There's a difference between coaching and competing. There's a very, very different space, just to be fair. But the willingness to put myself there in that zone, my boys are right there. Do you understand? And it's just all right, Dad's about to go out there and look like an idiot. This thing that he loves so much, you know what I'm saying? And it's just going to suck. And you have to fight. You're fighting through all of these thoughts. And there's this willingness to say, I would rather be seen in that space failing in the fight that I love than shutting down and withholding myself from the battleground. So many people choose to harbor places of struggle in their life because they're not willing to be seen failing, pursuing the thing that they want to go after. One of the biggest secrets is rooting yourself in the Father's love. It's a different message. But when you're fully convinced that my identity is resting in him and it's completely detached from success and failure, it frees you up to engage fully, to go for it, and the result not determine your value or who you are. There's a strong connection to that. And it is a nuanced and difficult place to be in that battleground, because it's well, if I win, it's going to look better. Do you understand? There is a struggle in that place. But the willingness to put yourself into that place, I just love understanding that this is courage. This is courage. The passage starts with God reminding Joshua of the promises over him and the people. That this is the promise and this is the land I've given you. You need to be reminded, this is the land I've given you. So you need to move forward with that strength, that being convinced in that space. And then he says, I will be with you. I have 3 points, but if you walk away remembering one thing, I want you to remember this, that the presence of God is the source of strength and courage in your life. Everything rests on this. The very first thing God is saying to Joshua is, I need you to know that I will be with you. Before I tell you anything of what to do, how to struggle, how to fight, any of that thing, you need to be convinced of me being with you. This is the foundation, my presence with you. My trust, right? Speaking first person, my trust isn't in my own ability, but it's in the presence of God with me. Does it mean I don't have ability? No, of course I have ability. I also have a lot of lacking ability as well. You know what I'm saying? And so what happens is you can fall into a trap of being overly confident in your own ability and just having no trust and being super insecure. Both of those are traps. The truth is that God being with me is this promise that he, like in my weakness, he's going to be made strong. Like the display of God's strength through my life will come through some of my weakest places. But it's the connection of his promise over my life. I will be with you. You need to know this. You need to grab it. My question then, before we get into this next portion, is what are you doing to steward that connection? Do you walk around life just like God's just sort of this invisible fog that just kind of comes and goes? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's a cool breeze, you know? Like, oh, there he is. And then you just go about your day. You have like your quiet time. You wake up and you're with God. You read the Bible, worship, and then you close your Bible, and then you move on. You know what I'm saying? I had stressful phone calls to make. I got things to do. We need to or are you aware? Have you begun to develop that place in your heart where you are stewarding an awareness of God with you throughout the day? That means when I come home super stressed, super angry, and my wife is there and she says something and the temptation is just sort of be a punk, and I have plenty of excuses for it because of whatever this and whatever that happened, whatever this, God's right there in the midst of this. Which also means he's right there willing to give me strength in this place of weakness. Like it's not just this thing to make you feel guilty for failing. It's this recognition that the very source of strength that you need is with you. So, are you going to operate in a place of weakness, or are you going to lean into the strength that he's promised to give you and be with you in that moment? It's a decision because it's not a feeling. I'm going to tell you what, it feels like he's not there. That's why he told Joshua, I will be with you. Because it's going to feel like he's not. Some of the times where God has been the closest to me is when those times where I thought he was nowhere around. To be honest, because it's a true statement. You understand, this is the truth. I will be with you. I'm going to go with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. That means you're going to have circumstances, situations that are going to challenge that belief in your life. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to remind you of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Of course, God, of course you're with me. Why would you have to tell me that? I mean, you're everywhere. You're with me. And he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, buddy. I don't know why I'm telling you this, Of course you know. And then you're walking, you're like, where the heck are you, God? You've left me. I'm alone. My dog left me. Country song playing in the background. It's like, ah. And he's like, no, remember I told you I will never leave you. That means I didn't leave you. Never means never. Doesn't mean most of the time. It doesn't mean that just when you feel me, I'm there. Do you understand? It actually means never. I will never forsake you. Your circumstances, there's going to be circumstances that are going to directly oppose this truth in your life, and you have a decision to make when that thing happens. I wish I could say that just believing God with you is just going to make everything rosy, and that's not how it works. Sometimes there's crazy immediate breakthrough that happens right in that moment. Do you understand? But there's other times where God is looking as a good father in your life and saying, hey, I'm with you in this. Trust me. We're going to get through the valley of the shadow of death. We're getting there. We got to make some steps, though. Because the strength in your life connected to this breakthrough is what you're going to need to maintain it. Do I need to say that again? Listen, he does not give you sickness. He does not give you tragedy to teach you anything. There's enough tragedy in the broken world and the enemy doing stuff. Do you understand? This is not causal. It's the fact that he's recognizing there's a road, and he's not worried about difficulty because he's with you. Do you understand? He's going to be with you through it. So let's look at these three statements. We're going to hit it fast. It's Father's Day. Shorter attention spans. Do you know what I'm saying? Got root beer floats outside. Listen, we also have a little chipping game out there. I'm going to beat every single one of you. I'm willing to be seen from my heart in this space. I'm just saying. I'm not as good anymore, but I will say growing up, we were in Africa. I couldn't go golfing, but my dad had this set of clubs. And me and my brother used to play this chipping game where we'd have a 5-gallon bucket, and we had to chip golf balls into the bucket to score. And so I used to, he always got the pitching wedge because he's the older freaking brother, you know what I'm saying? He's just like, and I play with the 9-iron. I'm going to tell you what, that 9-iron, baby, I can hit that thing nearly 200 yards. My driver, also 170 yards. Just saying. It's hilarious. I just went golfing like 2 weeks ago with a buddy on this 9-hole course, and we get up there, and I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter what club I hit. I'm going to hit it at the same distance. He's like, no. You got to play the clubs. I'm like, I understand that's how you play golf. I don't golf. I chip. It's all I do. It's all I've ever done. My whole life was just swinging a 9-iron. He's laughing, and so we get up. I hit my driver, 170, maybe. It was a good shot, Get up there. The next one is it's like a par 3. It's like this little mini course in Waterville. And he's like, oh, it's just like 200. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to use my 9. He's like, no, you got to use your like, I'm like, doesn't matter. 5-iron, 9-iron, I'm just going to hit it the same distance. Hit that 9-iron, up, boop, right next to the green. He's just like, anyways, just saying. So all I'm saying, I got a good chip. Can't drive worth a hill of beans. All right. Number 1, be strong and courageous. The first statement, verse 6 says, be strong and of good courage, for to this people you shall divide as an inheritance the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Okay? You are building an inheritance for the next generation. You are. Your private victories become corporate breakthroughs. I said this earlier. But you understand that, like, scripturally, you're called to claim ground for the next generation, for your children, for the people you're mentoring, for the people that you're pouring into, for the people that you're leading. Like, that is a calling on your life. I love this verse, Proverbs 13:22. It says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I understand that there's some interesting theology connected to the 1970s push of like the sort of left behind rapture theology around eschatology and stuff. Without having to have any discussion around eschatology and the difference of how all of the end times are going to play out, I can tell you this, that it is clear in Scripture that you're meant to live your life in such a way that you are leaving an inheritance for the next generation. If you're in this room and you're struggling with that idea, please come and talk to me afterwards, because there is something profound about the way that you live life from the context that I'm leaving an inheritance versus it ends with me. There's a different way that you make decisions. There's a different way that you steward things in your life in those two different worlds. The heart of it, even in the context, let's just say everything ends in 5 years. Okay? My responsibility is to steward my life in a way that looks like the love of the Father, right? I'm loving him. I'm loving people. I'm meant to look like him. I'm meant to abide in Jesus, Jesus and the Father, this whole thing. Like, my life is meant to look like God. The picture that we see is not this temporary, just sort of like consumers. We're just going to do it for this thing and then be done and over. Look at the story that God has painted over the last few thousand years. And you're going to see a picture of future generations, of future inheritance, stewarding promises that take 20 years before they ever fulfill. Some promises take generations for them to fully reach their fullness. This is a picture of the way that God moves and works. And one day, I'm going to be standing before the Father, and he's going to be like, hey, what'd you do with what I handed you? Like, how did you manage this? Did you love like I loved you? Like this thing? Or did you just like make a bunch of money for your own self? Like, it was just about you and that vacation you really wanted? Was it just about you and the escaping society that you didn't want to handle the pressure? You didn't want to feel the pressures of stuff around you. Was it just about you getting out? Like, I understand, like, I'm kind of pushing some buttons here, and it's not on purpose to, like, aggravate people in any way. It's to shake you up a little bit, to reevaluate, like, hey, how am I looking at my life right now? How am I looking at how I'm making decisions? And then the question is like, well, I don't have any kids, so how does that work for me? There's some really incredible people in the Bible that didn't have kids that left an incredible inheritance that we are reaping to this day because of their breakthrough and what they fought for. There's some people that couldn't figure it out as a parent with their own kids, but they did figure it out in a generational inheritance sort of place. To encourage you. Some people, it's like, you're like, it's too late for me. My kid's already grown and gone. You know what I mean? It's not too late for you. God is still inviting you to fight for breakthrough and to leave a legacy in his story that he's weaving. There are lives that you are touching, that you are engaging with, that the way that you make decisions, the way that you engage with people around you is actually stewarding this place of momentum and breakthrough. There are things, there's gems and inheritance that's resting on your life. There's grace that is resting on your life that the body of Christ needs. Not to go full circle, we go back to the Ephesians, right? What every joint supplies. We are a body that, like, you are meant to bring the breakthrough in your life that is actually supplying strength to the body. It is not too late. Do you understand? It's not too late, and it's not only directly connected to physical children. It's understanding that God, like, we are a body, that, like, we are connected, that the breakthrough in your life, I get to experience. The wealth that is in your life from the things, the road that you've gone through, like, I get to experience that. The strength and the courage that you have made decisions in your life where you were like, I could have compromised here and I didn't, and no one knows about it. There's this wealth that is sitting on your shoulders, a maturity that is sitting on your shoulders that the body needs. Practically, I know this sounds silly. Sometimes it looks like serving in kids' church. Sometimes it looks like being involved in practical things, and sometimes it just looks like being present with someone. A new face that comes in, and you're like, yeah, I want to go say hi. Just love on them, get to know them. You're like, oh man, that's a crazy story. Let's go get coffee sometime. I want to hear more of this. And there's like this connection that begins to happen, and the wealth in your life begins to spill over into someone's life, and they begin to experience the goodness of God through you in those moments. We can't minimize these things. We cannot minimize this. You have no idea the impact that you're having in the people around you. Like, you cannot know. You do not know the impact that is taking place right now through your life and the people around you. Number 2, let's look at this. Following the law of God and not deviating from it. It says this right here. Verse 7, only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. That is a huge promise. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. That's wild. I mean, that's crazy. He's like, listen, it doesn't mean everything is going to go perfectly. We're talking long term, you learning to not deviate from, like, this thing that Moses has given you is going to, over the course of time, it will bring success into your life. He gives you a key to being able to do this. He says, meditate on it. Don't let it leave your mouth, and you will be able to then fulfill all of that law. 2 things. Don't let it leave your mouth, and meditate on it. What the word meditate here, the Hebrew word for meditation, it means to chew your cud, right? It's a cow with 4 stomachs, right? Eating some grass. I know, people hate this. A couple hours later, kind of burps it back up into its mouth, chews it some more. Then breaks it down. He swallows it. A couple hours later, you want to know what sound will wake you up out of the dead of sleep? Every dog owner in here knows the sound. I think there's some cat owners too that probably have heard a similar sound. I'll tell you what, does not matter how deep of sleep you're you are out of bed. I'm faster out of bed when I hear that from my dog than when I hear it from my kids. There is a different sound, and I don't know why. I do not. When I'm standing before Jesus, one of the questions I ask is, why does this throw me out of my bed faster than my kid upstairs throwing up? Like, please help me, God. Oh my gosh. But so here's the problem, right? Grass, to break down the nutrients, to get the nutrients out of it, it requires a process of breaking down and fermentation over time. And over time, it breaks it down, and the cow, or there's other bovines out there that that similar things, right? That like the ruminants, they break the grass down, and their body is able over time to extract nutrients out of it. Meditate on the word of God. Okay, so only be strong and courageous. Okay, I'm going to meditate it. I'm going to only be strong and courageous. I don't know. That sounds pretty simple. Only be strong and courageous. I don't know what else could that mean? Only be strong and courageous. Okay, whatever. Get in your car. You're driving for a little bit, and you allow that thought to come back up in your mind, and you start breaking it down. What would this mean for me today? What does that look like? How do I apply this? Like what? I don't know. Okay, you just kind of swallow it. Couple hours later, you're working, you're whatever kind of job you have. You're just kind of doing some tasks, and you allow that thought to come back up. Man, what is it? Like, strong grace. I'm not really sure. God, what are you meaning by this? Like, how does that break down? What are the verses? Like, what? And you start thinking through, and it starts breaking down. All of a sudden, there's going to be a moment where the nutrients in that verse are distilled enough where it like seeps in, and you're like, oh my gosh. When I go home today, and I open the front door, there's going to be shoes everywhere. Only be strong and courageous. The amount of strength needed to not yell at my children right now, that's a lot. And then you go back up the verse. You are with me. You will not forsake me. In the presence of my enemies, in the presence of my enemies, these shoes. These are the enemies in my life right now. These shoes and this purse. I'm kidding, I'm sorry. She could very easily say my backpack and my jacket, okay? Like, if she was preaching the message, she'd be like, and your guitar, and your coffee cup that you left right here on the counter, and your water bottle that you didn't rinse out, and now it's mold in it. You know, listen, I'm throwing myself under the bus because there's no way I'm painting myself like I've got this figured out. But you understand, there's like this process. The thing is most of us have so packed our life with brain stimulus, you actually don't have time to do this very thing in your life. Now listen, I spend a lot of time on the road. And most of you ask, what do I do? Driving back and forth from Oakland several times a week. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks, sermons sometimes, discussions. Those things are wonderful, but you know what they don't allow me to do? Just chew the cud. Chew my cud. You have to be willing to sit silent and still with your thoughts long enough to kind of burp up that verse. And most of us aren't willing to sit with the discomfort of our own thoughts. And so we put on something to overwhelm our thoughts so we don't have to think about those things that are there. And you're robbing yourself of one of the greatest tools to to bring strength and courage into your life. The very tool God has given you, one of the very tools God has given you to wage war in your life, is found in the screaming silence of your own thoughts, where you can sit there and choose to meditate on one of his promises. My encouragement to you is to begin to find the time to do that, to choose it. And it says, don't let it leave your mouth. What are you talking about? What are you speaking? What are you declaring? What is leaving your mouth? What is on your lips? Do you understand? How do you speak about the situations in your life? How do you take the thoughts that you are having, the feelings you're having, and how are you expressing them around you? There is a significant connection to the direction of your life and the way that you talk about your life. Okay, we got to move on. We can talk about it another time, but it is so key. I love this. And then your way will be prosperous and you will have good success. That's wild. I'm going to tell you what, it's going to take strength and courage to lead your family in the way of the Lord without compromise. It says, do not deviate from this law to the left or to the right. One of the mistakes that I will say, if I can just take a second here, the last one will be simple. I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute. One of the mistakes fathers make is how to navigate strength with their wife and with their children. We often find ourselves succumbing to the pressure of their emotions because we don't know how to navigate scary waters of emotion. And so it's easier to try to appease the emotion instead of lead in a godly way through it. It's not that emotion is wrong or bad, and it's not that those emotions are coming from a real place. Do you understand? Are you hearing me? There's a difference between ignoring what is happening and staying connected to God's promise through the storm. There is a difference. There's a difference between being able to hear and listen and be present and not deviate from the word of God than to ignore and shut down and be like, your emotions don't count, you're just being emotional. Two very different things. And oftentimes men have been told lead, and they've taken that to look like ignoring and shutting down and silencing, or because they don't like the result of that, because their wife happens to be someone who resists that sort of thing, they then shut down their voice in the presence of that, and they just acquiesce to whatever emotional storm is happening. Parents do it with their kids all the time. All the time. I see it constantly. Little deviations over the course of time. And then you have a 16-year-old and you wonder why life is like this. I don't want this message to be filled with regret. I want there to be a sense of hope that there is something about the freer and the more we are pursuing breakthrough and wholeness in our life, our capacity to be present with people in their storm and not change course is directly increased. Do you understand? My ability, when I'm fighting for this directly in my life, be strong and courageous, be willing to be seen from the heart, be vulnerable, be true to the word of God in my life, holding on to his promises, onto who he says I am, the more I'm stewarding this, I'm meditating on his word, I'm filling my mind with the thoughts of Christ, like I'm working through this process, I'm allowing the prominent and most leading voice in my heart to be the word of God and not a TV show that I happen to like. Do you understand? The more that I'm doing this, the more when there is a storm happening in this other side, it doesn't rattle me. It doesn't make me insecure, and my ability to be present with it increases. So now we can sit together and I can be present with her in this space. And there's a gift to that because most of the time that storm is connected to something that really is an issue. Whether in our marriage, in her life, in my life, in the kids' life, in business, and it's all sorts of stuff. The way that it is manifesting is through a uniqueness that God has placed in her life. But oftentimes we fight to acquiesce the surface storm. Do you understand? And it causes us to deviate from the word, to deviate from the promise, to make little compromises, both in our life and other lives. And are you guys following me? And there's something about the more whole, the stronger I become in this place. The strength isn't manifested in shutting the other person down. The strength isn't manifested in shutting my kids down. The strength isn't manifested in me yelling commands and controlling what they're doing. The strength is manifested in my stability in their storm. That's where strength is manifested. The name of the Lord is a strong tower that the righteous run into and are saved. It is not, the name of the Lord is a raging storm that shuts everything else down. Jesus, being fully one in the Father, is asleep in the middle of the storm and is surprised when he's woken up. Why? Because the peace in him is not being rattled by the external circumstances. Strength in the middle of storm. He's like, why would you wake me up? Oh, guys, don't you know? I just multiplied all this bread. I fed all these people. This is just a storm. These are big waves. Come on. If I can make 3 loaves, a couple fishes, feed, 15,000 people, I think there's a couple waves. I think God can kind of, come on. Come on, guys. Let's make some connections. 1 + 1 = 2, Do you understand? Savannah says, I don't think Jesus was sarcastic. I think he was sometimes. A little bit. So occasionally. Mostly not. Mostly he wasn't sarcastic. There's this thing that happens that as a coach that I do sometimes. I don't have a better word for it, but just I lend my strength to the kid. Okay? What does that look like? They just get thrown on the ground. You know what I mean? They're crying, they're hurting, they tapped out, whatever. Maybe their arm got yanked hard and they're in pain. And kids are in the middle of this storm. And I will pull them off oftentimes before their parents, because oftentimes their parents don't know how to do this, to be honest. Some of them are really good. Some of them are not. It just depends on where their life is. I pull them over. I get on my knees. I look at them in their eyes, and they're just freaking out. Take your breath, right? We get them kind of calm down a little bit. And in and out through your nose, and they're they try to breathe in and out through their nose, but they're crying, so snot's blowing at me. And usually it blows into my face, to be honest. I just don't care. And they're I'm sorry. I'm I don't care. Breathe. And I'll just stay with them, like snot flinging in my face, and it won't faze me. And I look him straight in the eyes. I look in my eyes. Do I look scared right now? No. Why do I not look scared? Why am I not scared? I don't know. I don't know. Most of them, it's they're why? Of course. Why wouldn't you be this doesn't make any sense to me? It's because I'm not worried. I know, and I begin to speak truth to their heart. This is who you are. This is what you did really well out there. Man, this is how I see you growing. You know what I mean? And I bring them back to this truth, and I take the strength that's in my life and I give it to this person in the middle of their storm so that they have an anchor, they have a strong tower to run into. My encouragement to you is to learn how to be present with people in these places of turmoil. All right, last one. We're done. I'm just going to say this. We'll wrap it up. We could. This is good. His last phrase, right? God's last phrase is verse 9. Have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage? Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Do not be afraid or be dismayed. I really want you guys to understand there's a difference between the feeling and the state of being. We in an attempt to have this verse or other verse where it says be anxious for nothing, what we've done is we've associated the feeling with the state of being. And there's a difference between the feeling and the choice that is connected to a state of being in your life. Do not be afraid. There's this thing, right? There's this reason he's telling you this is there's going to be things you are going to feel afraid. There are things that, like the feeling, the emotional response of fear or dismay, like this, there are things that are going to cause this feeling to come up, and you have to make a decision if this will be your state of being or not. Are you going to choose the strength and the courage of remembering that I'm with you, or are you going to choose this to be your state of being? That point is a decision. And I love it because he wraps it up with the same reminder. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. That means I face terrible circumstances. Fear raises its head. I feel the feeling, and I have a decision. Am I going to remember God's with me right now, or am I going to choose this as my state of being? Are you guys hearing me? Why don't you stand with me? So the decision, right? We have this decision to make in the presence of fear, the feeling of it. What truth or lie are you about to partner with? Guys, God's giving these things to us, these reminders to us, because we're going to need them. In thinking and preparing for today and this morning when I was kind of typing through these things, my heart kept coming back to this place of like this reminder. I felt it in the room, and I was like, God, I don't know. I wanted to go a different direction, and my heart kept coming back to this thing. Like, it is time to take land. In your life, it is time to take land. In your life. There is a place of maturity. There's a place of strength. There's a promised land. There's areas of your life where right now it is time to take land. And many of us in this room have done an incredible job doing that already. Do you understand? This room, I look around this room and I can see the faces of mature saints that have paid a price for the breakthrough in their life. There are places in my life that still need to be taken. I took a lot of ground, and I've sort of like enjoyed the success of those battles. I kind of don't want to go to war again. I just kind of want to be like, it's good enough. I'm mature enough, you know? Like, I turned 42 this week. You know what I'm saying? I'm mature enough. Like, I've hit it. I've got, no. Why? Because I'm willing to pay a price for something for my kids. And for the people I lead, for the teams that I work with, for the people that I mentor. Like, I'm willing to go to work. I'm willing to face the places of insecurity, the faces of shame, the places of brokenness in my life where God is inviting. So there's still land to inherit. Remember the borders I gave you? Like, you haven't filled them yet. You've only filled them part way. There's more space. There's more ground. There's more breakthrough. Your private victories become corporate breakthroughs, you guys. Your private victories become corporate breakthroughs. So this is what I want you to do all around the room. We're going to pray. I want to pray for everyone, and then I want to pray for dads in the room specifically in connection to this. So first, man, if this is you in the room, I just pray this prayer with me. You can put your hand on your heart or put your hands out, however you want to respond. It doesn't matter. Just whatever that response is for you. Lord, this morning we are picking up the call to be strong and courageous, to step into our promised land. The fight before us, God, we are fully saying yes. That we are choosing to be known from our heart. We are choosing to be full of courage in the face of adversity. To take up that call to be leaders that are willing to pay the price for other people. Willing to fight for breakthrough for other people. In our own life, for those places, whatever that looks like. We say yes this morning. In Jesus' name.